This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to Disabled Persons Assembly's Notable Radio Show. DPA is a systemic advocacy organisation run by and for disabled people. DPA is a pan-impaired organisation with members across the country. Over the next half hour, we'll discover how we can work collaboratively to achieve inclusion for all New Zealanders. DPA's Notable Radio Show, a whole new attitude.
Kia ora and welcome to DPA Notable Radio. I'm your host, Amy Taylor. I'm the Kaituitui or Community Connector for Ōtepoti Dunedin. In today's show, we will be talking to Nikita Van Dijk, who is the recently appointed Disabled Women's Network Coordinator at DPA. Hi Nikita, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm not doing too bad now, thank you. A little bit chaotic with move, but otherwise I'm doing pretty well, thank you. What about you?
Oh, all right. The kids have come down with something and I feel like my head is starting to ache as well. So we're on Zoom today rather than being in the studio. So, apologies for any sound issues, although the wonderful Jeff at OAR FM, I'm sure, will be able to fix some things up for us. Nikita, firstly, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background? What did you do before you joined the DPA staff?
A better question is, what didn't I do? So I've been the disabled advocacy space for the last 5 years, primarily within education. So I'm a member of / also the co-president of the National Disabled Students Association here in Aotearoa, which is the Disabled Students Association for tertiary students. I've done a little bit of neurodivergence advocacy, primarily because I'm autistic, but so is my brother. I have taught martial arts on and off for the last decade and a half as a little side thing. Otherwise, I've just studied, really. I'm currently almost at the end of a Master's in Disability and Inclusion Studies. So, a million things, but I love it all. So, we make time.
It's wonderful to keep busy and active and in lots of spaces, meeting lots of people. We love that. I think that it's really, it always shows me that disabled lives can be full and enjoyable, and we can actually, it's not despite of, it's with our disabilities, we are able to live very full lives. So you've been recently got a new job. Congratulations. That's very cool. So can you tell us about the Disabled Women's Network, what the coordinator does? What is your role at DPA now?
So the Disabled Women's Network has been around before, so this is more of a refresh. Again, what don't I do? So primarily with the Disabled Women's Network, we advocate and campaign for issues that affect disabled women. So currently I'm planning a hui where a lot of disabled women are going to get together discussing some of those issues, kind of like build off of the skill base we already have, and then discuss what issues we want to advocate and how. Part of my job as the coordinator is I take all this information, I help support people to plan campaigns and advocacy. I'll be running monthly online meetings and events as a part of the network. I do look into policy, so I do help with policy submissions and create a bit of a database on different issues and research and legislation that affects disabled women. I do a little bit of comms. There's going to be a page on the website for me and the network, so it's a little bit of everything, but anything disabled women, basically, I give a little bit of a lens on while supporting amazing disabled women within the country to actually advocate for and campaign for disabled women issues.
Wonderful. Well, that sounds like it's going to keep you very busy, as if you weren't busy enough. So what direction do you think the Disabled Women's Network will take in the future? I know that we've had a lot of legislative changes lately that have not necessarily been in favour of women. So can you talk us through that a bit?
I think Honestly, I think it's a bit hard to tell, especially because it's early days of what this new women's network looks like. I know for me, what I would love to see is our women's network be loud, be proud about being a disabled women, but unafraid to stand up and campaign against issues such as what's happened with the recent changes to the pay equity legislation. I would love to see the network do their own campaigns and advocacy on why that's a problem, but it also, at the same time, it depends on what the network wants and how they want to do it. I don't believe it's my job to kind of lead that. It's my job to kind of facilitate what they want. So I know what I want. To summarize, I know what I want, and I want us to be loud and proud, but I also want to support amazing disabled women to do what they want with this network.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I mean, at the end of the day, DPA is a member-led organisation, and we need to take our direction from our members. And it's very good to hear you talking about that aspect. Just as an aside, if you hear some cute little pitter-patters in the background, it's because we have little pitter-pattering feet because the children are sick today, so I'm home with them. Apologies for that. So there's a national hui coming up for disabled women organised by DPA. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I'm very, very excited about that. So to summarise it, some amazing disabled women are going to come together, and we're going to be doing some workshops such on te tiriti, as well as disabled human rights, and then kind of discuss as a group what the network will actually look like, what issues we want to start advocating on first, what issues are predominantly affecting disabled women within Aotearoa, and that is inclusive of all women, so that includes trans women, AFAB, non-binary people, so it's very inclusive as to the scope, but most of it is about setting up the network so that it's sustainable and it continues after I'm gone, long after I'm gone, hoping.
Well, it's wonderful to hear that DPA has taken an inclusive approach, because we have been hearing a lot in the media lately about what it means to be a woman. And it's really important that we include all members of our society that identify in that way. Melanie, would you like to say your 2 cents worth while you're interrupting my radio show? Excuse my 7-year-old. She's decided that she wants to participate and now she's run away. This is all about being a woman, you see. You have to be able to like take your punches on days where the kids are sick. You have to try and work them into your work day, which is easier said than done sometimes. And I think that is going to be one of the issues that many women bring up, is how we work childcare around careers. And especially as disabled women, we have our own huge set of challenges that come with being disabled. Many of us want to work, and we want to parent, and we want to do all the normal things that are you just expect from a full life, but it can be rather challenging. So I'm looking forward to the hui. I'm looking forward to being able to discuss this with people that are in similar situations. So now I would like to talk a bit about chronic illness, because I feel that this is an issue that affects a lot of women in Aotearoa and New Zealand and across the globe, really. What do you think about women's health in Aotearoa, especially with reference to chronic illness?
Oh, as a chronically ill person myself, I have...
Likewise.
I have some strong opinions about how chronic illness is treated and supported within New Zealand. I think the simplest way to put it is absolutely inadequate. I feel like the medical system within Aotearoa does not communicate enough between specialties especially, but we also just don't believe disabled women. We are less likely to give disabled women pain relief when they need it. We are less likely to listen to disabled women about their issues when they need support. And there's no real consistent communication between different specialties, which is incredibly important. And so a lot of the times disabled women, don't get me wrong, all disabled women fall through the cracks at some point with something, but disabled women with chronic illness, yeah, they fall through the cracks. And it's weird because it's and infuriating because it just coincides with so much. Chronic illness has so many comorbidities. It affects deaf women, and we already know that deaf people are struggling within the medical system with not being able to get interpreters well in the ED being a big one that was coming up recently.
Yeah,
we
it's
know
a huge thing. And I work extensively in the deaf community and have done for a number of years. I have bilateral hearing loss, so I can certainly relate to some of the challenges that people have. I mean, a big thing for me was during the mosque wearing. It was incredibly challenging, and it's still the case in many medical settings. But yes, as you say, it's intersectional. It compounds on the issues that people already have with accessing medical services.
And I think COVID's made it a lot worse. I think that, I mean, nobody's really prepared for a pandemic, but the medical system, I don't think, is fully up to date on how devastating illnesses like long COVID is. POTS being another big one. We're seeing that take a huge uptake in diagnosis after obtaining or catching COVID-19. And so as a result, people are just not getting the support they need. And it's devastating and it's heartbreaking, and I'm excited to see the network actually tackle issues like this. I have a funny feeling that healthcare is going to be one that a lot of people want to advocate on and campaign on, so it's exciting to think about how the network will handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's an issue that's very close to my heart from personal experience, and also a lot of people that I know. In my personal capacity, I run the POTS New Zealand Aotearoa Facebook group, and every single day I hear stories about people not being able to access the healthcare that they deserve. One of the biggest issues we're working with at the moment is a lot of GPs tell POTS patients that they can't access funded electrolytes. It's rubbish. There's nothing in the legislation that says that electrolytes are only for people with diarrhea. But GPs have got it into their heads that they cannot prescribe them, which means that people are forking out a fortune, literally hundreds of dollars on a monthly basis, to access basically salt and water. And they're not expensive if you have the buying power that a government has, but as individuals, these things really add up. Another personal story I can tell is that lately I've been rejected for a needs assessment on the basis that POTS is apparently not a disability. Like, my standing lean test indicates that I can only stand for 4 minutes. My heart rate is 221 beats per minute when I stand for 4 minutes. So if I don't need a wheelchair, then who does? It's really, really confronting. And yeah, I mean, these are personal issues, but I share them because I want people to understand the length and breadth of the problems with accessing healthcare just because your diagnosis falls under a chronic illness rather than what they define as a disability. Very, very challenging, but yeah, something definitely to get together and advocate on.
100%. Chronic illness and how it's treated within the medical system is very, very close to my heart. Previously, I was a youth representative for Ehlers-Danlos syndromes New Zealand, which I know does have a correlation with POTS.
Yeah, there's a lot of comorbidity with these diseases.
And we used to, well, at least while I was there, we used to hear stories all the time, and I know they're still going on, about not being able to get a needs assessment, the struggles of applying for disability with a chronic illness because nobody understands how disabling they are because they are so dynamic a lot of the time as well. And it's so archaic in its thinking. I think that's the other big problem. A lot of these systems are still so archaic. So it'll be really nice to see how the Disabled Women's Network wants to tackle it. And I'm here to give them everything that I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think one of the things I would like to see is over the last couple of years, the ME Association, MECFS, went to the government and they said, we'd like to be reclassified as a disability rather than a chronic illness. And with the change of government, nothing really came of that. But it is something that I would really like to see is if some of these diseases that primarily affect women are taken a bit more seriously from a primary healthcare, from the GP, but also across the health network to make sure that we're actually not falling through the gaps, because so many women, and when we talk about women, we're talking about economic output as well. I mean, people cannot work. This is a huge problem, and many of us need relatively simple accommodations, relatively inexpensive accommodations to be able to participate in the workforce, and we're not getting them. And it's a pretty dire situation. So that would be a wonderful direction from my perspective for the DPA's Women's Network to take, but we need to hear from all our members and see what they would be up for. So we've got about 8 minutes, exciting 8 minutes. We've talked about the future of the Women's Network, but I would like to talk about a bit more broadly about how you envisage the future for disabled women in Aotearoa, New Zealand. What does that look like in your mind, in your idealism?
In my idealism, women, for example, would be taken seriously regarding healthcare. We wouldn't hear about gaslighting anymore. We wouldn't hear about medical abuse anymore. In my ideal Aotearoa, I would hear that the legal definition of disability encompasses all impairments, so including chronic illness, including being deaf, being blind, neurodivergent. I would like to see it fully encompassing all the ways that a disability can affect a person and integrate with each other. I would love to see New Zealand follow the human rights model. I know there is a lot of different really good models for disability. I would love to see New Zealand follow the human rights model in particular, purely because the human rights model of disability outlines our ratified human rights within this country as disabled people. And so it would allow the government to quantitatively look and go, for example, disabled people can't get into tertiary education. There's a barrier here. That goes against Article 24, therefore we need to do this, 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 and this. It just lays out a clear plan. So I would love to see New Zealand right across the board follow the human rights model of disability. But I would love, even further than that, to see a society where disabled women are safe. Disabled women are more likely to face violence than other groups. We're more likely to be mugged. I would like to see a society where we don't have to be afraid about going out, where our mobility aids are respected, where we don't have to worry about getting onto transport and having to leave our mobility aids behind or them being damaged. I would like to see a society where we could fully participate as people, because I think often people forget that we are exactly that, we're people.
You're preaching to the choir. It's exactly that. Honestly, was it the day before yesterday? I was on a very exciting mission to go and get Caroline, my oldest daughter, some school shirts. So if you know Dunedin, this is I was heading from the main shopping street on George Street to Postie across Albion Lane, and I was approached by somebody who waxed lyrical about me being a wheelchair user, and it was some kind of joke to this person, and it went on and on and on. And it's an enclosed lane. I was alone. I felt so vulnerable, and I also knew to get back to my car, I was going to have to follow the same route again after I'd done my shopping. And it's just how you belittle people into feeling like they're not actual, real participants in society. I'm lost for words to say how that stays with you on a daily basis as a disabled person. It really is just so degrading to feel like people see you as so othered, and as human beings, we really feel like I just want to be able to go about my daily business without being so othered and so, just viewed as something different, which we're not. We're just people at the end of the day. So we're coming to the end of our interview today. Again, apologies for my two little kids who both have severe ADHD and find being quiet and cooperative to be rather challenging. But, we need to be inclusive and understanding that things are not the same for everybody. I would like to see a world where they could just behave exactly as they pleased within, some degree of decorum, and actually what came naturally to them was actually accepted in society, and we were not constantly hushing and shushing, because I seem to spend a lot of time doing that. So, last question. If I wanted to join the DPA Women's Network, how would I go about doing that?
Well, actually, in our info exchange, there was an expression of interest form. You just click that form and fill it out. That form will be on the website soon under to do with the Disabled Women's Network. You just go in, fill it out, as long as you are female. As I said, it includes trans women as well, and non-binary women. You can join the network. So just fill out that form, and it'll go straight to me, and I can keep you in the loop. I'll keep you in the loop with the newsletter and online events and everything.
Right, so the link to the website will be available online with this radio show, with the podcast. If that is not accessible to me, what do I do?
The next thing that I would recommend doing is emailing women@dpa.org.nz. I believe that's the correct email, women@dpa.org.nz, and that'll go straight to me as well.
And you can also always phone the DPA number. It will come straight through to a voicemail, which I personally pick up, and I will get back to you and get you in touch with Nikita if the internet is not an accessible space for you. Great. Thanks very much for your time. It's been wonderful chatting, and it's lovely to hear that we share some aspirations about where this women's network is going. Ka kite, have a wonderful day, and goodbye from DPA Notable Radio.
Disabled Persons Assembly is Aotearoa, New Zealand's first pan-disability national organisation, providing system-level advocacy for all disabled people. Membership is free for individuals. If you'd like to know more, visit our national website at www.dpa.org.nz or contact your local kaituitui or community connector, Amy Taylor, at kaituitui.otipoti@dpa.org.nz. Disabled Persons Assembly, a whole new attitude.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.